Let's bring Frank in for the Phillies mailbag here.
Total whistle.
As the mailbag is open for business every Tuesday here on the Sports Bash. As Frank posts your questions on Monday, we answer them here on the air on Tuesdays. You can send your questions every week at Frank Klose 973 on Twitter, and you can read more from Frank at Philadelphia.com, part of SportsTalkPhilly.com. How's it going, Frank?
Hey, guys. How are you?
We're doing well. Good to be talking some Phillies here as, we're getting toward we're almost in September here, which the September call-ups are going to be coming up here shortly. I know a lot of people going to be talking about that. But one question from Kevin on this week's mailbag is, will the Phillies be buyers during this offseason? If so, what free agent pitcher is attractive to you?
Well, I kind of answered this one from the pitching perspective because if you look around, that's pretty much the one spot that the Phillies possibly could add somebody. I think in terms of the position players, they're pretty much set looking at the guys that they already have in the organization. And so when you look at pitching, there really is not a lot to choose from out in the free agent market. And one of those reasons is because Jeremy Hellickson may be one of the best arms on the free agent market, and I think he might actually be too much in demand to even get to re-sign with the Phillies. So I think if you look at the landscape of free agents, you have the likes of Doug Fister, Andrew Kashner. Both of them are probably the best free agents that you're going to find out there on the market. And when you're only looking at a few free agent options that aren't a 43-year-old Bartolo Colon or a 42-year-old R.A. Dickey, well, Phillies aren't going to be one of the teams that gets those top arms given their rebuilding status. So I think they're really not going to get an opportunity to sign a free agent, especially as a pitcher. I think what they're more likely to do is what they did this year when they brought in Hellickson, they brought in Charlie Morton. These were trades for guys that were approaching their free agency that could sort of serve as that veteran presence, which I think, as we've seen lately, as the young Phillies pitchers have all gotten their first bout of injuries and other struggles, that it's really important to have a veteran around. So I think they're going to have to be creative and address that need on the trade market. But the free agent market, it actually works out for them because Jeremy Hellickson, they're going to offer him a qualifying offer, hope reject it, and sign a good deal somewhere else, and that's good for the Phillies because they get a draft pick.
Yeah, I like this question from Steven because you see this more and more. I think the Braves just did it as well. Do you see any guys in the Phillies system that go right from AA, jump over AAA, and make the big league team next year coming out of Clearwater?
Well, I think there's 4 names to consider for that to possibly happen, and I think one of them has a shot. Now, if you look at Rhys Hoskins, if you look at Dylan Cousins, they're getting a lot of attention right now because they're hitting all kinds of home runs. If you look at Jorge Alfaro, the switch-hitting catcher who's having a great defensive and offensive season, it's tempting to want to bring them right up. But I think the name that has a real shot is going to be Roman Quinn. Now, Roman Quinn, he is on the Phillies 40-man roster already, so that kind of works to his advantage. And he's kind of been slowed by injuries, so they might take a leap and give him a shot. Now, one thing the Phillies do with Roman Quinn, right now in AA, he's starting to play some of the corner outfield positions, sort of increase his versatility. I think he'll probably long-term be a center fielder, but they're trying to get him this experience, so I think he has a real shot to be a September call-up this year, and it's very possible that he could be the starting center fielder next year. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, what about Odubel Herrera? Well, if you compare the two players, Quinn is a switch hitter, not a left-handed hitter. Quinn is faster. Quinn plays better defense. So the real question that you have to look at is, of those two players, who can get on base more? So if they think that Quinn can get on base, perhaps Herrera becomes a trade piece, and Quinn could be your starting center fielder.
You're talking about Roman Quinn a little bit, and we're visiting with Frank Klose, and the Phillies mailbag is open. Well, Adam wanted you to be Zoltar, Frank. He wants you to have the crystal ball and asking you, what's the Phillies opening day lineup in 2019? And I know leading off and playing center field is the guy you were just talking about.
Right. So Roman Quinn, I think he is. I think he does have a future with this team. Again, he's got to get on base enough to really show that he's worth it. But that was kind of a fun question to answer because you have all these different prospects to sort through in the Phillies organization, and you also have to sort through who might be in free agency between now and the time that the Phillies are ready to compete. So this is my early guess, and I'll talk first about the players that are already in the Phillies system. I thought Roman Quinn could be your center fielder. I thought J.P. Crawford could be your shortstop. I think Maikel Franco may stick around, although I had him perhaps as a first baseman, and more on that in a second. I think Aaron Altair could stick around. I think Nick Williams could stick around, and I think Jorge Alfaro is your long-term catcher. One name that I kind of picked as my name for in terms of a free agent signing was Manny Machado of the Baltimore Orioles. So now he is a very talented. He really came up as a shortstop, and he was blocked at shortstop, so they made him a third baseman. But I think that he's somebody who represents what the Phillies could bring in possibly. We've talked before about the great 2018 free agent class, and there will actually be a number of options on the free agent market, perhaps highlighted by Bryce Harper, who, by the way, is not having a good year. But Phillies might not grab Bryce Harper, but I think Machado could be somebody who could potentially fit for the Phillies organization because one, he's got the big bat, and I think at some point they're going to need to add that big established bat. But I think he's the type because you could put him at third base still, and Maikel Franco perhaps could slide over to first base. So that was my big bold prediction, I guess. But I think somebody like him will be taken by the Phillies in free agency, and I also think they're going to add an ace reliever. So I threw Jose Fernandez in there, and I think they're going to sign an ace closer. So I added Craig Kimbrell.
It's a team you wouldn't go watch there,
yeah,
PT.
It's fun stuff. I mean, it's a fun game to play.
And really, if you look at their payroll, I mean, their young players are not going to be making a lot of money by then. So they could sign all three of those players and still have a payroll somewhere around $100 million, which just sounds unfathomable, considering that the Phillies have had a payroll almost twice that.
They've certainly seemed like they have money to spend. Frank Klose is with us. The mailbag's open. Now, Frank, tonight's game against the White Sox, Carlos Ruiz is batting sixth and in the DH position. Any chance that we see Joseph and Howard in the same lineup, that they use Howard as a DH?
Yeah, I think they could. I think right now the Phillies are pretty committed to getting Ryan Howard some at-bats, and I think at the same time they want to see Joseph. I think Pete Mackanin said the other day that they're not trying to take at-bats away from Tommy Joseph, but Ryan Howard is simply playing too well to take him out of the lineup, and I think they do want to, in some respects, still honor him. And when you look at tomorrow's starting pitcher, it's going to be James Shields, who's a right-hander. So I think it would be. I think a day like today, you have a pretty decent bat in Cameron Rupp, and Carlos Ruiz has been playing well. They're both right-handed hitters. But tomorrow you definitely want Howard's left-handed bat in, and I think he's going to get a shot against James Shields in either the DH or the first base spot, and I think Joseph will be right next to him in the lineup.
Hey, if you want to send Frank a question for the mailbag, you can always hit him up on Twitter at Frank Klose 973. That's Close with a K, and you can check him out over at 973ESPN.com with the Phillies mailbag segment. Every Monday, the questions get posted. On Tuesday, we answer them here on the Sports Bash. And don't forget to check out Frank and the guys at Philadelphia.com, part of SportsTalkPhilly.com. All right, buddy, we'll look forward to the mailbag questions again next week.
Thanks a lot. Have a good day, guys.